Hello, I just want to tell you a few things about the workshop I'm doing shortly called Clowns in Dystopia. So what does that mean? Dystopia. Dystopia is the opposite of utopia, the perfect world, the dream world, whereas dystopia is a kind of nightmare world where there's chaos and disorder and logic and empathy don't apply, so there's injustice and cruelty, floods, fires. Sound familiar? Well, what do I mean by clowns? As some of you who've worked with me before will know, that my idea of clowns is slightly less to do with red noses and all the paraphernalia, but it is, red noses are useful sometimes, but it's more to do with looking at people who are failures and losers, not always because they're stupid or inept. It may be the circumstances around them that make them like that. So they try and, with adversity, they try and find strategies to cope with this adversity. So there's a great scene, for example, you might know in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where King Arthur is confronted by a black knight in the middle of a forest who refuses to step aside. And so they have a duel, and King Arthur cuts his arm off. And King Arthur says, well, okay, you've lost the battle, let's stand aside. And the Black Knight said, no, it's only a flesh wound, it's only a scratch, I'll continue. So they continue, and his other arm is cut off, and then his leg, and then the other leg, and he still won't be defeated. He won't accept it. He says, no, I'm doing this, you're up for it, you chicken, yeah, you run away from me. So we laugh at the gap between this sort of hopeless heroism and the situation he's in, and we kind of it's very lovable as well. So now another example is Charlie Chaplin in The Gold Rush, which, as some of you may know, is about. There's one scene where there's two men are stuck in a cabin that's snowed in on the top of a mountain, and they're freezing and starving to death. And the Chaplin character, he boils his leather boot to eat it, and then he sits at the table, a bit of salt and pepper, and eats it very elegantly with perfect table manners, using one of the nails as a toothpick, and it's just recreating this fantasy of a past, a world that he can no longer access, that's gone, but he's kind of comforting himself by doing that. So that's just one strategy that a clown might use. This kind of, but there are loads of other ones. So I hope you'll join me in this workshop. It will be fun. It's mainly for people who are already familiar with clowning principles, but rather than looking sort of inward in developing individual clown personas, it's more looking outward to way clowns in general might react to a world in chaos, a world that's adverse, that the world has fallen apart around them, and they're just a kind of fixed point trying to cope with everything that's happening around them. So what you'll get out of this workshop is some material or potential material that could be shown to a general public, which might be relevant to them. But also, it's relevant to all of us, because we're all in this situation now. As humans, we are trying to cope with the world falling apart. It is, and the speed of it, it's just all sorts of things, from schools falling down, and the climate change, and war, and etc. So we're all going, what? And this will be a way of sort of helping us psychologically prepare for all those big changes that are coming our way. So hope to see you there.